Welcome back to the Arcopia Show. This is episode number 11. Today I'm going to talk about getting yourself mentally prepared and if and who you can help. If you're enlightened ahead of time and are getting set up ahead of time, are you going to help people? Are you going to do the nice thing and help them? And it's a really difficult question, and actually it took me many years, like 10 years, to come to my just spiritual calmness about the suffering that's coming, what I'm going to do in certain situations, the fact that, I know what I'm capable of, and I know with a little reaction time and no emotion, what I'm capable of doing, both good, bad, and whatever needs be. I'm mentally prepared for many different things, and hopefully you're working on your inner self as well. Getting spiritually right with, your maker, with the ethos. Yeah. So let me start with a story. So I was in real estate as a young guy. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I worked very hard. I built houses from scratch and flipped houses, and kept some as rental properties and things. Some were good rental properties, some were poorer rental properties. But even if I'd buy a house in a older neighborhood or something, I would, before I moved a tenant in, it would be clean, updated, like fresh paint, a nice, like offer people a nice place to live. And it was very rare over the years of having these rental properties that I'd have a good tenant, that would not completely destroy houses and things. And it would also be rare that you wouldn't have somebody on one or another form of social assistance in some of these poorer rentals. So I eventually had enough after enough theft of my tools, garage breaking in, houses destroyed, the system on the side of the tenants. The landlord gets nothing. You could even take a tenant to small claims court and they could rule in your favor. Well, the tenant has to pay. And do they really have to pay? Like some houses, there was $30,000 damage. Like, and for a young person trying to exceed, that's painful. So another way to look at it was some of the tenants that I had was, they would stay home, trash the place. The amount of welfare that certain ones would get was more than I made working my literal butt off. 7 rental properties at the max. They're making significantly more than me. And hopefully after 25, 30 years you eventually own this house, but at the rate that it gets trashed and the amount that you have to put into it. And, oh, Dean, I plugged the toilet again. Well, the toilet's your issue. And, oh, Dean, I flooded, you know I some of the social assistance ones, they're not responsible enough to pay their bills. So the welfare system will pay their utilities. It doesn't matter what it is. So, like, the one house, it was minus 30 outside, the screen door and window is open, and the wall air conditioner was going, and the furnace cranked up to its absolute max. So what that did is the condensation out of the furnace literally like destroyed even the structure, not just like the flooring, but the structure, because it condensated down the wall and in the floor just from sheer stupidity of these people. So I have quite the resentment for these the some of these people that I've had to deal with in my life, and the whole system that's on their side and everything. And but the worst was some of these single mothers, really young, like in their 20s, that had 6 kids. So when the system puts in place that you can make a whole bunch of money, and people do it almost as a living instead of a job. And in Canada, they just increased the child payments as well, and it's a absolute huge amount of money. It's like $500 or $600 a month per kid, six up to six kids. There's people. I've had tenants, some of these single mothers. I worked it out. It's the equivalent of having a six-figure income, and on top of that, you get all the services, all the health care, somebody in the system at your beck and call to provide you anything you need, furniture allowances, a whole bunch of other things. But I remember like tearing up and being, and it really got to me, all these kids, and because I've seen it multiple times. There's a lot of situations, even that I've personally dealt with. But these poor kids, they're what can you do for these kids? Like, if you take them away from their mother that's not looking after them properly, like they're surviving on a Slurpee if they're lucky, and fast food pizzas, like the garbage cans, it would just be pizzas stacked high, paying $60 a day for pizza and then Slurpees, and these kids just dirty, smelly diapers. They haven't had a bath in who knows how long. And what do you do? What do you do with these children that were brought into the world because of the system and a government paycheck? Like, so it was really hard for me, and I remember being very emotional about it and like thinking what could be done. And it's like, well, it's important to leave children with their like biological parents, but in the case of a single mom, six kids, it would be 3 to 6 separate guys, also on social assistance type of thing. So, and the amount of money that they get and everything for free and no consequences of their actions, and destroying houses, and giving so much. Do you take away the kid from that parent, and where do you put them? Like, I was really trying to, and like that's not good. A kid should be with its biological parents, but what if the parent is a moron and literally had kids to as the paycheck? So literally spend as little as possible on child care and the kids' lives, and pocketing that money. I came to the conclusion, it took me a long time of really like going through my brain and what is right and what can you do, that those children are unfortunately a write-off, as is the parent and everyone like them, and that I can't care more about their children than they care about them. And so you have to mentally prepare yourself for the amount of suffering that's going to come. So I want you to picture this person that had children for a paycheck, and what happens when, well, it's collapsing right now. The inflation is running hot. So that pizza and Slurpee that the kids are half surviving on is going up in price, and that's called inflation. And they're going to complain to their social worker that, oh, we need more money, and that's going to create more inflation. Like, the welfare system is collapsing currently, and it's like only a few years off until it's absolute total chaos, absolute collapse of the welfare state. And there's no fixing it. The cards have been dealt. We did the stupid stuff like in history, and the consequences have to play out. But I want you to think about that those parents and what they're going to do if the paycheck stops. Those kids are already having a terrible life. Like, just imagine the suffering that's coming. And if you saw hordes of these starving children on the streets or something, are you going to help them? Like, maybe you have a tiny bit of means, because you're, not a moron, and you prepared yourself and your family. But I know I can't physically work harder I can't physically produce more food without, like, you know, like all the inputs to produce food is more. I'm running out of energy. I can only do so much. I have 3 of my kids. That's my responsibility. I can't care more about other people's children than they care about them. So I like there's another scenario. So the deferred gratification thing. So I grow X amount of potatoes per year. Those potatoes get stored and they last us our food for the winter, plus seed potatoes for the spring. If you have all these starving people and they're like, well, you got potatoes stored, like get me some potatoes or something. It's like, no, no, I'm the adult, the responsible one. We need this much for the seed potatoes for next year, or we won't have potatoes the year after. And they'll get hostile because they're starving. And like would you help hordes of kids? You have seed potatoes stored, and if you give them, feed them potatoes, it's going to extend their misery only a tiny bit and then add to your misery of not having any seed potatoes for the next year that you are trying to plan for. So unless you're growing, tens and tens of thousands of pounds of potatoes in the off chance that it's going to collapse this year, you know, what do you do? Like, if you have a month's worth of food stored up for your family, and you see starving children, literally just, I want you to picture the starving, crying, freezing, terrible, terrible apocalypse. And it's not far-fetched, and it's not some fiction thing. This is literally going to happen when things fail. The amount of suffering is going to be unbelievable. So mentally prepare yourself. If you have 30 days worth of food for your family and you see, 48 starving, hungry kids on the verge of death, are you going to give them all a little bit of food, or to reduce your family's food supply from 30 days to a week, and then die yourself? You have to mentally prepare yourself, as well as when starving adults that didn't prepare are going to come at you because they don't have any resources. They didn't have the foresight to store any resources. They didn't listen to you. They are a product of the welfare system that fails. Government's the daddy, but government doesn't produce anything. So government, they don't have a daddy anymore, a sugar daddy. When they come for you, you have to mentally prepare yourself for what you're going to do in that situation without hesitation. And you can just imagine what I'm talking about there as well. But it's really, really important that you run these scenarios and take some of the pain and the emotions ahead of time. Close your eyes and envision this scenario and what you can do, and feel the pain now so that you're calm and strong and alert and know what's coming. Now, in some spiritualities, this is bringing a possible future pain forward, which is a terrible thing if you have anxiety issues and just spirituality, because every day's a new day, YOLO, let's not worry about the future, all we have is the present moment type of thing. But I know that I have mentally prepared myself with those thoughts and ran a bunch of things in my head, and I brought that pain forward over the last decade, and I've already worked through that pain, that post-traumatic stress, like it actually happened. So there won't be an increased heart rate. I won't be emotional. I won't make a poor decision based on emotions. I'll be stable. I'll be quick to act, and I know what to do in different scenarios when this plays out, because I'm certain in my lifetime it's going to. And there's only so much I can do. You can help people. Or what about the your so-called friend or family member that you've been trying to wake up for a long, long time, and then they've done nothing and listened to you in no way. They don't have any food stored. They don't have any, silver stored or even cash out of the bank. They're going to the lake. They're going on a vacation. They're going bowling and having a great time. And if something bad happens, you have to think about what you're going to do with them. So when somebody, you know, bring shows up on your door with empty hands, those are pretty frickin' useless to you. If you care enough about your family or friends, or a few of them, you can make your own personal sacrifices to try to help save them by storing some more food and resources back and things for them, if you have the means and energy to do that. But for me and for everyone, we only have so much energy. It's hard enough for me with 3 little kids, business, building greenhouse, farm, homestead, to try to do things myself with no help. And nobody's really offered to be included in it, type of thing, because it's all on me. This whole thing that you're going through, if you're listening to someone like me, it's entirely your own journey that you have to take. It's kind of like having a business. Like, your family will support you or say, or good job, and but some of them in the back want you to fail. Same with your friends. It's Nobody cares about the struggles that you're going through with business or whatever it is. It's a lone journey. So is preparedness. And because I've analyzed these different societal systems and communities and how you do it, you can't just, hey guys, like, do you want to go hang out camping and bring tents and stuff, and we can start a prepper retreat group or something? It's like, no, you have to, like, commit to it. You have to have garden soil, you have to have infrastructure, you have to be economically viable, is like the main thing, meaning produce more than you consume out of that community. So as I progress here, if there's enough time, and I'm always hoping for more time, because more time means can get set up better. But putting infrastructure in place, and then after the infrastructure is in place, kind of create this little system that's kind of providing value. Then I can bring on a community member slash employee, or community members slash employees, to my economically viable community business homestead farm thing that I have. And then it's a sustainable system. So if you're, just, you bring these people in ahead of time, or if somebody's helping you out do something, then you kind of karmically owe them. Kind of like, just think about your friends and peers and family and things, and who you're planning on helping out, who you'd really like to, like, do everything you can to help out, who deserves no help whatsoever. As you get more and more set up yourself, because you can tell your family and your peers and your friends all this stuff, but nobody is going to listen, or almost nobody's going to listen. So you have to do it yourself. So if you care about your family, like extended family or whatever, you literally have to make that sacrifice ahead of time to like do some preparations for them. And remember, if things get bad and these people that don't have any preparation show up with next to nothing, it's like, okay, well, I got these extra air mattresses and cots at a garage sale. You do hear sunups at 5:30 a.m. and there's a hand gardening tool here, and you get out in the field, hand gardening tool and a watering can, and there's the water source. This is how this works. This is a weed. This is the row. You frickin' get to work at 5:30 in the a.m. Because remember, if you're gonna bring somebody on, that they're another set of hands, eyes, security thing, and it's literally like, screw the, oh, we increased the minimum wage now, and in Canada pension plan contributions to have an employee, and all that's gone now. And so literally somebody with nothing is coming, hey, we're hungry tummy, starving to death. It's like, okay, here's the list of rules. Here's a warm place that you're not going to freeze to death, and here's your first warm meal. Tomorrow you're helping us plant and maintain next year's breakfast starting tomorrow morning. And actually tonight you do not sleep, you're on watch, first watch tonight or something. And you have those other sets of hands. But so you can think about the amount of extra production you can have with these low skilled or unskilled people that don't know anything about gardening, don't know anything about protection, don't know anything about anything. Or maybe they do, and that could be a bonus, but you have to sacrifice something yourself for these people that you care about, that you're going to help when all of this comes to fruition. And who knows, maybe I'm still crazy. Like, I don't know. I try to look, am I crazy? Am I crazy? It's like, I don't think I am, but I do run that mental thought every once in a while. Okay, Dean. Okay, what is the math saying? What is the current situations? What is, all the factors, and am I crazy? And no, I'm not. I'm just doing this as a contrarian well ahead of time, so I'm preparing, not reacting to what a variation, and it could change, but a variation of what I think is going to happen. So what might be nice is, again, garage sale cots, some extra pillows and blankets, a separate place, maybe some bunk beds or something, to anybody that you're planning on helping. But then the other ones, like if you have a acquaintance or a friend and they, know that, like, I've had people tell me that are acquaintances, geez, well, if anything ever bad happens to the world, we're coming to your place. And I'm like, and my wife has said, no, please don't put us in that situation to have to make a decision at that time. If you're, it's because people do not realize the work and what it takes. Like, instead of buying your pontoon boat, you can spend the money on some future resources, or what am I, if they want to trade a pontoon boat for food, I mean, what the heck am I going to do with a pontoon boat? Or what do people have? Designer clothes and ripped jeans and patio furniture? Like, what am I going to do with that? Kitchen utensils? No, we have kitchen utensils. Like, I need firewood, diesel, gas, pillows, blankets, garden equipment, solar panels and batteries, or I don't know. What am I going to do with what these average people have, which is next to nothing, or just useless consumer goods? But you're going to have a difficult with some of these friends and acquaintances that are not going to be part of your thing when the time comes. You're going to have a difficult thing, so you have to mentally prepare yourself for that situation. And my wife and I both are mentally prepared for that. What has to be done, there's no leniency, really. There's no emotions to it. It's just this is how it is. This is lay down. The mentality, you've thought about this before, and you know what the consequences are if you give in to certain things, right? Like not having seed potatoes for next year, not having breeding goat stock if you go and butcher all the females. not having eggs if you eat all the chickens. Like most people, well, you got chickens all like a hungry man would eat 2 chickens in one sitting, and every day. You can also think of the powers that be when they come knocking, and what your line in the sand is, and what you do for current situations. So I have thought about both current events and current stupidity by the powers that be, and what's going to happen in each situation. And yeah, you just get yourself mentally prepared. So it was Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan. I don't know. I just love this clip of him, but just for helping young men in particular become better men, and women too. But it's like how he says you should be a monster and know how to control it. You should have a big sword, know how to use it, but have the mental ability to keep it sheathed. But if you pull the sword out, you know it has to be done, and you go and finish the task, and then resheath it, and that's that. And that is all 100% a mental thing. You have to have the skills, have the knowledge of how to use tools, how to use words, how to use things in different situations, and know when you use them, know that you can use them, know that you'll win if you use them, but have the capacity to not use them. And that is the makings of a very, very strong mental person. And that's what I'd like you to think about for the preparedness aspect. The situations that you think are likely in the future, the pain of others, what you're going to do with others, what you're going to do in different situations. And just the worst for me was, again, those tenants and those poor kids that were brought into this world as a product of the system, in my opinion, and I'm correct about that. And how you can't care about other people's kids more than the parents care about their own kids. And that picture, this vision that I had of what's going to happen when any one of these fragile things in the system breaks, the amount of pain of these little children, innocent little children, and what do you do about it? There's so many, it's going to be absolutely terrible. So if you can mentally get yourself prepared for that, then you can mentally get yourself prepared for anything, really. But if I'm right about what happens, and that like the welfare state and the inflation is now going to consumer prices, it's a Ponzi scheme. They literally have to keep printing or the Ponzi scheme fails. And literally they can't print money and hand it out for other people to buy resources that somebody else had to produce because of inflation. It works for a little bit. Democracy works for a little bit. When you go off of a sound money system and are in a strong system, that and you go to the fake system where somebody can print money and hand it out to, that works temporarily, right? People that think communism works, if it's right after a capitalist system, works temporarily because there's so much pent up goodness and new things built and new infrastructure and things in place. And then you go to communism, it probably looks like it works temporarily. Modern monetary theory, where they can print as much as they want in their own currency, it likely, because the trickle down effect takes a long time, and it takes a long time to play out until it's over. it looks like it works temporarily. So I can see the perspective of people that don't understand things, like most politicians and the general public and everybody. I can see their perspective on it, but I am right in the end, and it's just, when is the end? How many more weeks, months, or years, or even decades? Who knows? I can't believe some of this has gone on as long as it has. So it could be a while yet, and I will give thanks to any more time that I can have, because that gives me more time to build, get set up, work out kinks, create a life, and hopefully there's enough time that, you all can get yourself set up to a point. There is no finish line. That's one thing that I'm understanding as I get older. There is no finish line. There's no finish line where then you stop, building and then just enjoy. You have to learn to enjoy the process. You have to learn to like the work that you're doing, like the building, like the physical labor, like working hard. You have to train yourself that way, and that it's a never-ending, lifelong process. So you better bloody well enjoy it. And well, the Ponzi scheme is at the tail end. Make sure you enjoy a little bit, because these actually are the good old days. That they're going to write history books about some of this stuff in 100 years. But these would be the tail end of the good old days. So make sure you try to enjoy a little bit, but also get working and get yourself mentally prepared. So thanks. Let's leave it at that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and yeah, I do think that this is an important topic that I just brought up, and something that I went through years ago. Let me know if you've gone through that, if you've put yourself through future pain, or you have even an anxiety problem, and you're bringing like, that's what anxiety is. It's because all you have is the present moment. The future is unknown. We can have really good estimations on what the future is going to bring, right? When you put yourself through that scenario that's so real, like these poor children, what's going to happen? That's the future. That hasn't happened yet. That's in the Matrix. That hasn't happened, right? Like, the past things have happened, but all we have is the present. So what do you do about it in the present? And I decided to take the pain of the future in the present, that deferred gratification type of thing. And some would say it's very bad to do that. I would say get yourself, it's like training your body, train your mind, and it makes you a very enlightened, higher IQ, less emotional, better all around person when you have that ability. So I would recommend even mustering up the strength to do it, and put yourself through that, like really put yourself through it. But try to take a break from it and meditate and do things if you get too anxious, because that is definitely possible, right? Anxiety is worrying about future things that haven't happened yet. But let me know if you've gone through anything like that as well. And let's leave it at that. Okay, thank you for tuning in to the Arcopia Show. You all take care. Actually, I'd like to add one more thing. To avoid seeing this pain that's coming, because you can't help everyone, there's too many of them. One of the best things you can do is just remove yourself from the situation. So that's leave the city, move out of town, find a tight group of friends, a tight community, and you can look after your tight community, your family and your friends there, and you can avoid actually seeing what's going on in the city when the hunger times come. Because I mean, if you were in the city and you thought you're gonna Mother Teresa this thing, and I, it's a world of scarce resources. Everyone that's going to be hurting in that city, it's their fault that there's scarce resources. We should have an abundance of resources. It's not to say that anybody deserves what's coming, but it's just remove yourself from them. That's their world. That is not your world. That is their people, their friends, their families, their system. That is not your family. That is not your friends. That is not your system. Have fun. If rioting starts in cities, and if rioting starts in cities, literally the people that live there, they're going to burn down the grocery store, their own grocery store. They're going to loot the stores. They're going to burn down their own homes, and then they're going to wonder why nobody comes and fixes it for them, because that's what they're used to. They're used to destroying and then having someone else come and fix. And I say, let them burn the cities. Maybe you can see kind of the glow on a cloudy night of the city on fire, and the suffering there. But that's not your city. That's not your system. Leave it, so you don't have to be exposed to the bulk of that pain, the hundreds of starving children in the streets, or thousands. You're just going to have to worry about helping a few people in your local thing. And if enough people did that, then there's lots of help, and for communities, smaller communities. But in a world of scarce resources, so unlimited demand and always limited supply, and the system that we're in, where you literally can't produce things because they make it so hard, it could be so better, much better, that don't beat yourself up that you could have saved more people. You do what you can. Look after yourself first, and then you can work your way out. And if you happen to be uber rich and successful or something, I am not. I do what I can. If you happen to have a ridiculous amount of resources, then you can think about if maybe that's something you would like to do, is try to help people, because the government can't. They are out of other people's money. The printing press creates higher inflation and makes the problem they're trying to fix worse. But yeah, remove yourself from the majority of that situation, because again, you can't help them all, and then it'll save yourself from having to watch their suffering, right? Unfortunately, I think that's a mental preparedness state that you should get yourself in, and just remove yourself. So I will know what's going on, but I can shelter my children from them having to see it, maybe. I don't know. Just something else to think about. Okay, let's leave it at that this time. Thanks.